Welcome to Running Down the Clock, where we break down all of this week's big news, events, and controversies from the National Football League. Over the next 45 minutes, we will give you basic fan perspective and opinion on the most important stories and moments happening now. So, let's start the clock. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Running Down the Clock. I am Tyler Walzak. I'm here with Puya Ricey. Puya, we just had our first week of football. How did it feel?
That was a great week. I thoroughly enjoyed that week. A lot of surprises. It kind of ruined a lot of our predictions, lost a lot of credibility.
Yeah.
But I feel like we got half of them pretty bang on.
You know what? There is some embarrassing ones, but there is some ones that we did good. I will say that that last night's game completely ruined my suicide. I don't know if anyone knows about suicide leagues, but you pick one winning team each week. If you get that team right, you move on. You can't pick that team again. I picked the Denver Broncos, and they made me look like a fool. I don't know. Russell Wilson did not look like regular Russell Wilson. Like, is there a problem with Russell Wilson? He hasn't looked the same in the last 3 or 4 years.
He's been hit, like I said earlier in one of our podcasts. He's been hit so much. He's also probably just getting a little beefier. Like, he seems like he's putting on more muscle. He's not as lean and agile as he used to be. I don't know. Maybe that's affecting his mobility and throwing. And
you did mention before on this podcast how much that Russell Wilson did get hit when he was with the Seattle Seahawks. And that very well could be what's going on with him.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm just a little other point is you call it a suicide pool. Is that an East Coast thing? Because I grew up with them calling them survivor pools.
Oh.
You try to survive. Last one survivor.
That's probably more friendly for 2022, I guess.
No, this was back when we were not politically correct at all.
No, I know.
I never have been, but
now it's probably politically correct.
Right.
I'm still going to call it a suicide pool. It's better.
Called suicide pool.
It's better. So we had the thing about Sunday's football games is it always there's three waves, right? There's the first 1 o'clock games if you're on the East Coast, which are the 10 a.m. games here. And then you have the afternoon games, and then you have the night game. The first slate of games was so exciting. It was 4 or 5 games that went down to the wire. 2 of them went into overtime. 1 of them ended up in a tie. We had so many missed field goals by young kickers. And I don't know if you saw, but today the Colts released Rodrigo Blankenship, their kicker that wears the glasses. I thought that was super shocking. I thought he was one of their young, brighter kicking futures that was going to be a staple there for a while.
Yeah, kickers go so quick when they blow it, though. You don't see them stick around after a bad loss where it was all on kicker. That's so common that they just get let go, right?
Yeah, I was a little worried about that.
It's just one of those things. You need a reliable kicker.
Yeah, and there's so many of them out there that you can drop one and pick up another one almost seemingly easily. But if there were so many people missing field goals this weekend, it was crazy.
And, just you've had a job growing up. I've had a job. Think about the kicker at training camp. What was he doing all training camp? He wasn't taking snaps. He wasn't taking hits. He wasn't doing anything. What was he doing? He should have been practicing his kicks, right? And then week 1, you got all training camp to practice your kicks. Miss. Yeah. It's just what were you doing during that time, right? He was the guy that wasn't working when everybody else was working.
And then also on top of that was their Justin Reed for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a safety. Their kicker, Butker, got hurt. Justin Reed jumps in, kicks a field goal for them, makes it look easy.
Yeah, there's something weird about field goals. Most people feel that they can hit a field goal, and under no pressure, it's not that difficult of a task without the pressure. When there's no, 300-pound guy running at you to kill you, it's not the biggest ask in sports. It's relatively easy. There's a lot of people in the world that can kick a field goal under no pressure.
Can you?
Suddenly, that pressure just changes everything, though. And I get it. That's sports.
Can you kick a field goal?
Actual task, I haven't tried actually a proper field goal. I grew up playing rugby, so I could in the day. I grew up playing rugby. I was a kicker.
Okay, because I can't kick a field goal. It's tough. The ball just sprays all over the place. It goes all over the place.
You got to find your form, right? It's like anything else. But I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if you do it every day for your entire life, you should be able to make them. But that was the story of this week. Was there's so many games that like the Bengals Steelers game. The Bengals did not look great. They gave up 5 turnovers to that Steelers defense. Like the Steelers, we talked about that Steelers defense, and they're good. But TJ Watt, now who you hailed as the best Watt brother, is
I
probably
said he could potentially. He's on pace to potentially be the best. I didn't say as of today.
now
As
with
of
this.
today, yes. JJ Watt, he has way more accolades. I'm just saying he is on pace to potentially be.
Yeah, but now TJ Watt's going to miss this season.
Yeah, that's a big injury. There's a lot of injury.
Huge injury. So yeah, let's talk about some injuries.
Before we get to the injuries, that the survivor pool, the suicide pool, that was my lock, the Colts.
Oh, really?
And Rodrigo killed me.
Yeah. Rodrigo and the Colts and like the Colts, man, what the hell? So we said that the Texans were going to be the worst team in football. We couldn't name a fucking player on that team. And we said that I said the Colts are probably going to be one of the Super Bowl favorites, and they couldn't beat the Texans in the first week. They couldn't beat the Jaguars last year in the last week to make the playoffs. They can't beat the Texans in the first week to get off to a good start. Like, what's going on with the Colts, man? Like, why can't they just be good?
Because that division sucks. And I think we have to look back at that division. You were kind of pushing the Colts a little bit, and I said they didn't make the playoffs last year. That team didn't get that much better.
But the Titans also lost. They lost the Giants.
Titans are trash. Yeah, but we knew that. If you go back to week 1 of our podcast, we had nothing nice to say about the Titans. We kept diminishing, analyzing them like they're worse and worse and worse. We forgot about that when we gave them the credibility just because they're playing the Giants. But Saquon Barkley, he looked like Saquon Barkley of old. And I like him. I'm hoping he has another breakout season, comeback player of the year or something.
He looked good.
He looked good.
He looked real good. He almost broke a huge touchdown at the end, and then he almost he fumbled the football out of bounds, which I was a little like, ooh, that was not good. But man, that AFC, it's the South, right? They nobody in that division won in week 1. Not one of those teams won in week 1, and two of them were playing each other.
That's bad. Yeah, that's shocking.
2 of them were playing each other. They couldn't win. That's horrible.
And there's talent. Like, I mean, Jonathan Taylor had a good game.
Yeah, sure, but
Derrick Henry was not. He was absent.
Yeah, he got rocked. Did you see? I've never seen Derrick Henry get rocked before, and he got rocked like 2 feet off his feet. Like he got absolutely smoked in that game. First time I've ever seen it. It was crazy. So let's talk about some of these injuries because we brought it up.
Mac Jones.
Big one. Go for it, Mac Jones.
I'm just going through the list that I got here. Mac Jones. I didn't see that game, but apparently he's undergone X-rays. It seemed to be negative, so he could be ready for week 2. But that could be a lingering injury that affects the Patriots. You and I already have no faith in.
No, the Patriots stink. They got Matt Patricia as their offensive coordinator, and that did not work out well for them this year or this first week. And Mac Jones being healthy is everything to them, but still. Next.
Keenan Allen.
See, that's a big one.
He left the game. I don't know how long he's out for. It's a hamstring thing.
He won't play this Thursday.
It could be multiple weeks.
He won't be playing. Yeah. So they already ruled him out this Thursday. This Thursday is a huge game. Chiefs, Chargers. They've ruled out Keenan Allen already, who's their best wide receiver by far, probably a top 12 wide receiver in the league. Herbert's favorite target. He's out. That's huge for week 2. That's not great for the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah. Damian Williams, he's running back for Falcons. I think he used to be on the Chiefs there for a while.
Yep, he did.
Yeah. He got an injury. He probably miss week 2.
Which for the Falcons, like that, I don't think that is a huge injury for them because Cordell Patterson played very well yesterday, and a lot of people doubted him, but he played very well.
Right, but you need those support running backs because
sure,
you're just going to injure one guy, right? Like
Damian Williams is not. Nobody's resting wins. Like their hope for wins on Damian Williams.
But another running back, I didn't see this game, but Najee Harris.
Yeah, so that's huge because he was. I think we both said this that he could be the breakout star of this season. How long is he out for? Do you have that information?
It says the average for what they're calling like a high ankle sprain possibly is 4 to 6 weeks. That's
Dude,
kind of the worst case scenario of the injury. 4 to 6 weeks.
high ankle sprains on running
But he
backs.
very well could be back for week 2. So that's the worst case. 4 to
I
6
don't
weeks.
I don't think he'll be back week 2. High ankle sprains are horrible, dude. Those are terrible. Like running backs really suffer from those. You can't cut. You can't cut as quick with a high ankle sprain. It's worse than people expect. High ankle
Oh, yeah.
sprains.
Moving on, T. Higgins. He's got a concussion protocol, so probably going to miss a week.
Bengals did not look good, and that's not going to help them. But Jamar Chase looked fantastic, actually.
Oh, he is fantastic.
He took a stupid penalty at the end of that game that kind of ended up costing them the game, but he took a dumb penalty in the end zone, the 2-yard line, taunting, which instead of the Steelers having to run the ball out on their own 1-yard line, he took a taunting call, which then gave the Steelers the ball at the 20-yard line. Stupid penalty.
Yeah. It's stupid because it cost you the game, but in a rivalry like that, and his division is all rivalries, I like taunting, You got to get the players.
No.
This is for future games,
dumb.
right? You're
no, it's not.
The seed.
It's not for future games. That's so stupid. They play one more time. That's it.
But he's in their head.
He's not in their head. They won the game. They
did win the game. It's one of those.
They're
talk trash. You taunt. You got to win.
They're in his head. He was taunting. They're in his head.
But I like the effort. Moving on, another good receiver, Chris Godwin. Apparently, he had the same. The team rushed him back, and what is it? It's a multi-lig injury.
Oh, really?
Something in the hamstring. Yeah.
Yeah, he suffered that a lot last year as well, but that's kind of like
apparently he's rushed back, and this time they'll probably have to keep him out for a while to really let it heal.
Yeah, but they got Mike Evans and they got Julio Jones, who had a great game.
Oh, he looked great. He looked like old Julio Jones a little bit, like flashes of it. Obviously, he's aging a little more, right?
Yeah. Didn't he get hurt a little bit too in one of those quarters?
Probably, but I didn't see him get hurt, so I don't know.
I don't know for sure either, but he's on my fantasy team. I was happy to pick him up.
But the flip side, the other team in that game, Dak Prescott, he could be out many weeks, 6, maybe 8 weeks.
This is the injury of the week, right? Like this is the talking point.
Well, that's going to be the most impactful because now who's their quarterback?
Cooper Rush.
Yeah, Rush. There you go.
So that their season's over, right?
Yeah, I mean, according to you though, like Dak was never going to get them anywhere. So their season was over before it began. Like they weren't going anywhere anyway.
According to me, that is true. But they're doomed now. Like with Dak Prescott, they maybe would have made playoffs, but with Cooper Rush, they
didn't look good as a team. The only highlight I thought for the team was Micah Parsons looked amazing.
Yeah.
And he's a solid player. Was a second-year player, and he's leading that defense like he's the vet.
He could be a defensive MVP at one point.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb didn't look amazing. There was some drop balls by CeeDee Lamb. That's your number one guy.
The Cowboys
are number one guy.
I think we were accurate about this division and the Philly Eagles running away with it.
Well, if we follow suit with you, we don't apologize. So we were accurate about everything.
Yeah, we're never wrong.
Never.
Can't be. And if we are, we won't tell you.
But yeah, that Dak is going to be the most impactful for that team. I don't think they'll overcome that hump.
No.
Now, to be fair, I don't know who Cooper Rush is, but seeing that they only got a field goal out of that game.
But also, don't you think that not knowing who Cooper Rush is a massive sign on? It's like when we talked about Kirk Cousins. Like you should always have. I guess their team's not really built to win right now, though, is it? Dallas Cowboys. Their offensive line stinks, which is why Dak Prescott got hurt. But doesn't it seem like Dak's always hurt now?
Yeah, but they're different injuries. I mean, this one seems like a finger. It's a finger.
But it's still
right.
It's still an injury.
It is, but it's a freak injury. It's like the guy who keeps tweaking his knee or pulling a muscle or something is different than this freak finger injury, right? It's not the guy's injury prone if they're kind of different freak injuries, right?
Well, sort of.
But when he snapped his leg like that, his leg was snapped. Remember? Like.
Yeah, that was a gross one.
That's not just a weak guy that just falls apart. His leg got snapped.
But can't you put yourself in better positions to not have these injuries?
Yeah, you do a Tom Brady and just release the ball right away. Don't try and extend the
Yeah,
play.
exactly. Just don't put
Yeah.
yourself in those positions. See,
But
I'm not saying it's Dak's fault, but I'm just saying that there is certain players where they get hurt a lot because they put themselves in situations that are unnecessary.
the flip side of that is those situations. That's the risk reward is when it does work off. That's what's gotten them that big contract. That's what's gotten them this far is that
Yeah.
athleticism that they utilized. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. And also speaking of big contracts, Lamar Jackson wanted a big contract before the season started. He didn't get it.
he's gone. He's gone next year.
Gone because
Someone's gonna give him big money.
all he did on Sunday was throw bombs and touchdowns and make the Ravens look like the best team, one of the best teams in football.
Yes.
They,
Nothing against the Ravens because they can only play as great as they can play. They were against a terrible team though.
yeah, no, absolutely. The Jets
Yeah.
are horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Joe Flacco was not who you
led by
thought he was.
former Raven great. Joe Flacco.
He's not a Raven great. Don't say that.
Both the Raven
People,
nevermore.
people are going to think that you actually think he's great. But no, Lamar Jackson looked fantastic. Devin Duvernay seems to be his go-to guy now in the end zone, silencing doubters very quickly. And also with the Bengals and Steelers not looking so hot, and the Browns squeaking out a victory against the Panthers, the Ravens look like they're probably going to run away with that division.
So talking about the Panthers Browns there, the revenge matches. There's a few revenge matches this week.
Yeah, a couple of revenge matches.
Baker didn't get his glory.
No, Baker did not. He had a nice 75-yard touchdown pass, but he looked terrible in that first half. Terrible.
Yeah. And then Russ looked even worse, would you say?
Russ looked worse. Russ looked way worse.
But
I don't get it. Like, how do you not? I don't know. Like, Russ seemed like he did not care about that game at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe again, all the quarterbacks that, and somebody at work pointed this out to me, and it seems true. All the quarterbacks who didn't play in the preseason, terrible week one. Every single one.
No, it's because it takes 3
Joe
weeks.
Burrow, Stafford,
Yeah.
Maybe Brady did a little bit better, but
it takes 2 or 3 weeks to get into a rhythm with your team and your receiving corps, and that's just snaps. That's time. Now, I got a question for you, because I had this conversation with somebody at work today as well. Is how do you feel about the Seattle Seahawks fans booing Russell Wilson?
I think some of them put this out there before the game. They said once his career's done, they will welcome him into the Seahawks Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I get it. You're on the other team now. You left. While we're playing you, we're competitive. You're on the other team. Screw it. Fuck it. You're the enemy right now. Once it's all said and done, we'll bring you back with loving arms, retire your jersey here, put you up in the Seahawks Hall of Fame. Fair enough. And I get that. You're on the other team right now. It's a season. The season's on right now. There's no reason to be friends with the other team.
Especially in football where it's rare for Denver to come into Seattle to play. So it happens once every 4 years. Or once every, maybe it might be once every 8 years because Seattle will go to Denver probably next. So to have that line up, yeah, it makes sense to boo him because he did leave. Now, if you are a team like the Detroit Lions, where Matthew Stafford comes back to play, you cheer him because he did not need to be in Detroit.
It's a different story. Yeah.
Yes.
Different story.
Completely.
Yeah. But
he wanted to stay. He did not want to leave. Like he was an honorary Detroitan, or Detroiter. But Russell he made his own bed by coming back and being a little let's ride cocky about it. So I don't feel bad for him at all about them booing.
Now the other quarterback in that game, revenge. It was a little bit of a revenge match for him too, because he was a guy who's off. He never played for the Seahawks while he was there. I can't remember him taking a snap. And that was it. And that, I hate to bring a guy down like this because the joy on his face after the game, I loved seeing it. That was kind of his Super Bowl. Like he came out and he won to show that, hey, I sat behind this guy all this time and I outperformed him tonight.
Yeah. Also,
Now, I don't know
what?
if that's going to continue through the rest of the season. If Gino's going to get the Gino chance, he's going to be the number one guy. He's on pace to be, in the
Oh,
MVP conversation right now. Like his stats were good. The first half,
he's
he was amazing. The first half.
he is going to get Geno chance for like at least 2 more weeks. Now, he also had one of the greatest quotes ever after that game. Did you hear that?
Oh, that they wrote me off. I didn't write
Yeah.
back.
They wrote me off, but I ain't right back though. What a fucking quote.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was his big victory too. That was his revenge.
Dude, he made me a fan. So my dad and I were talking about it at dinner with he's like, Geno Smith's not starting for the Seahawks. I'm like, yeah, no, Geno Smith and Drew Lock. My dad's like, well, Drew Lock is younger. He's going to play. No, they're starting Geno Smith. He's like, Geno Smith that used to play for the Jets like 30 years ago? And I'm like, yeah, it was more like 10 years. But yeah, that guy's starting for the Seahawks. They're going to get crushed. And then they come out, Geno kills it. And then he ends the night with that quote. Dude, that's legendary status. That's how Ryan Fitzpatrick became Fitzmagic. Things like that with a quote at the end of it, that's what makes like legends.
Now,
Even if he stinks for the rest of the season, that quote's going to be one of the better quotes of the season.
I liked it. No, I was happy for the guy. He deserved that. He had a great game, and
Yeah.
I love you and me. We both love the underdog story.
Love the underdog story. Speaking of someone that I kind of made an underdog because I shit all over this team in our preview, it's the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. That guy did not miss it, but he made me look like a fool for shitting on the Chiefs.
You tried to convince me that the Chiefs are going to be bad, and I fell for it. But I even brought it up last week. I was like, I don't think they're that bad of a team. I think this is still a quality team. They have as good coaching as you can have. They have the best quarterback consistently through the last few seasons in the NFL. Like the guy is as good as you could ask for. I think Josh Allen might start to slowly catch up, but
Josh Allen was equally as good. Josh Allen had a great night too, but man, Mahomes went 30 for 39, 360 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Destroyed the Cardinals. He made it look easy, and he was taunting guys out there too. He's like, "That's 4. That's 4 touchdowns. That's 5. That's 5 touchdowns." Like, man, he made me look. I felt insulted. That was an attack at me.
Yeah,
that was
I feel like I was on his side on this when he left me out of the equation.
Put him in the MVP conversation right now too. The week one MVP conversation. Another MVP Sunday was Justin Jefferson for the Vikings. Dude, that guy is so good. 9 catches, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the Vikings destroyed the Packers 23-7. Does that tell us anything?
It's exactly as we said. Like what's going to happen in that game. We said that, and I know I like Kirk Cousins a little. I don't like him as a player, but I give him a little more credit as a better QB than you do. But we were talking about how his amazing receivers will overcome any deficiencies he has, as they did. Whereas Aaron Rodgers, on the other hand, he still had some good passes to
he was putting it in their hands.
Whatever.
He was putting it right in their hands, and they're dropping them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's so much harder for him to change the outlook of that game, not having great receivers, for than Kirk Cousins. He's got amazing receivers.
Now, this is the thing, but I don't want people to forget about the Packers and how they fared on Sunday against the Vikings. They got smoked week 1 against Jameis Winston and the Saints last year as well too. So don't write off the Packers just because of the week 1 loss. Like, because also Aaron Rodgers is not a guy that plays a lot of preseason snaps and a lot of hard practices. So he's also going to take some time to warm up too. But with that backfield,
he makes the playoffs every year.
And they'll make him again. They'll make it again.
And he'll be out first round or second round anyway. But that's beside the point.
One can hope, but it does look like both the Vikings and the Packers have a pretty good chance of making the playoffs based off of nothing, just week 1 stuff. And Vikings proving me wrong a little bit with Kirk Cousins not being Kirk Cousin-esque.
Yeah.
But what I can say is the Patriots are going to be bad.
Anywhere Patricia goes, right?
Yeah, anywhere Patricia goes, and he can't be an offensive guy. I'm not going to get back into that. But the Dolphins looked good. Tua looked good. Tyreek Hill looked good. The Dolphins defense looked good. The coach has them kind of running real well to start the season. Like that's a team. That's a team that the Bills will have to face twice. I mean, the Bills shouldn't be scared, but that is a team.
I think a lot of teams are gonna have trouble
Yeah.
against the Bills. The Bills, watch a couple games. It happens, right? But
Yeah, of course.
they look great on all sides. And who are they playing this week? Do you have you got the schedule out?
I do have the schedule out here. So it's week 2. We got
Yeah.
the Bills. I believe they're playing Monday night. They are. So the Bills Titans Monday night. We got 2 Monday night games this week, and Bills Titans are the first one, 4:15 p.m. West Coast. So 7:15. Nope.
Any?
Yeah, 7:15 p.m. East
Do
Coast.
you think the Titans have any chance in that game?
No, it's gonna be a blowout.
I think they're outdone in every category.
A blowout. It's gonna be a blowout. It's gonna be a boring blowout because the Bills are playing at home too. Like this, like they're gonna crush them. They're gonna crush them.
Yeah.
But also, what do I know? I picked the Broncos to beat the fucking Seahawks. So I don't know shit. But let's also go back. I want to talk about week 1 a little bit more. The Washington Commanders and Carson Wentz looked great. I mean, I know they're playing the Jaguars, but Carson looked like he was actually just out there having fun.
Now, what does that say about the Jaguars? The Jaguars are just going to be bottom of the barrel again. Like you and I were hoping, we were kind of big on them.
We hyped them up. We hyped them
And
up a
again,
lot.
I mean, week 1 overreactions. It's the only football we've had for how long? So there's going to be a little bit of excitement, and we're gonna read too much into little things, right?
Yeah.
One.
And we're not experts. We're not experts as much as you guys think that we might be. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. I do know that. We talk a little bit about the Lions. Did you watch any of that Lions game?
I did. That's classic Detroit. Detroit for the past season, like they last year, what I mean. They're a field goal away, and sometimes these field goals are a 95-yard field goal that the guy hits with the wind carries it and breaks records for them to lose the game. Like they're in these games, they can score. They just need to tighten up a little bit. There's just something losing by a field goal every game.
I don't want to obviously the Detroit Lions offense is not the problem. They put up 35 points, so they're not the problem. But Jared Goff did throw a pick 6 to the Eagles, which if you take away 6 points, the Lions win the game. So I don't want to put this on Jared Goff because he put 35 points up, but you just can't be throwing pick 6s like that. You can't do it.
Yeah, but the other thing is they were always chasing in that game too. They were never really, that 35 points came kind of later. Like they were never really within that striking range to take over the game. They were always kind of playing from behind, trying to catch up.
Well, that's what they do. But also, Jalen Hurts is so good. Like I watched the full game. It was one game that was standard on the 3 TVs, and like anytime they needed to play, Jalen Hurts would run 15, 20 yards. Like he was unstoppable. Aiden Hutchinson and Rodrigo and Harris were chasing him all over the field, and no one could stop him. He was what we thought Lamar Jackson was going to be when we talked about our preseason stuff. And it's like just this guy that just you can't stop him. You can't stop him.
I was big on him. Like I just because of his character, the way he carries himself, and the way he seems like he takes his training seriously. I was big on. He's the kind of athlete I would like for my team. He seems like he wants to do everything the right way to succeed.
Yeah, and like they say that
I think that's shown.
Big on talent wise, he might not be the best guy out there, but he's definitely going to be the one working the hardest. And it seems like AJ Brown and him have already got like
nice connection. Oh
yeah, that connection's great. It was like over 150 yards or something for AJ Brown, like on 12 catches or something like that. That's insane. But I will say it was nice to watch the Lions play all the way to the end. That's what they're going to do with this new head coach, and it's just good to see my Lions out there fighting for victories. And Jalen Hurts even said today or yesterday, is like, it's not the same old Lions. That team is different than the team we played last year. So
yeah, I mean, you and I brought up Hard Knocks a lot, and that was the one thing the coach was emphasizing is finishing games.
Yeah.
Finishing, playing through to the end. Right? It's like running a sprint. You don't slow down when you start to get near the finish line. Run through the finish line.
Run through the finish line. And the Lions did that.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch over. Let's switch over to week 2. Now that we've talked about the Lions in week 1, let's switch over to week
Thursday.
2.
You said we got 2 games Thursday?
No, 1 game Thursday night, and
2 games Monday.
I think it's the best game of the week, if I'm being honest. Chargers versus Chiefs.
Divisional matchup, yeah.
Divisional matchup. We talked about every single one of these divisional matchups in the AFC West should be prime time. This is prime time. It's in Kansas City.
Speaking of the Chargers, though, that was another revenge match that we kind of didn't go over. It was Khalil.
Oh yeah, Khalil Mack had a big game.
He had a big game, and he looked like the old Khalil Mack. I don't know. I see a lot of him in Chicago. He seemed like he's just kind of didn't care, or they didn't use him, or just who knows.
Yeah.
Chicago. Nobody's cared about Chicago outside of Chicago for a bit.
But he's back now. It also helps to have Bosa on the other side of that line to take a lot of the pressure off him too. So that's good. Okay, let's do the same thing we did last week. I'm going to go through the games and the spreads. Tell me who you got. We're running down. We got 7 minutes left here. Chiefs Chargers in Kansas City. Chiefs
taking Kansas City. Kansas City.
And for the listeners, we're recording this week on Tuesday night, so the spreads will change. But right now, it's 4.5 favorites Chiefs, which makes sense based on how they were last week. Yeah. So you're going Chiefs.
Chiefs, and I'm taking the under.
Wait, the under or it's 4.5 spread.
Yeah.
So you think they?
They'll be under 4. Yeah, they cover.
I think the Chargers win. I think they go in.
Yeah, you're big on the Chargers. You got the Chargers going to the Super Bowl.
I have the Chargers going to the Super Bowl. I think this is their first big win of the season. Like I know against the Raiders was also a big win, but I think this is the first holy shit, the Chargers are for real matchup. Okay, so then we got 10 a.m. on Sunday. Lions versus Washington in Detroit. 2.5 favorites. Detroit is the 2.5 favorites.
Yeah, I want to take Detroit. I want to jump on the Detroit bandwagon on this one. I think Detroit takes this one. 2.5 field goal. I think they're going more than that. I think they beat the spread.
Yeah, I think they beat the spread too. It's 2.5, so it's usually you win by 3. I don't know though. Washington looked good. I'm going to pick Detroit as well. Detroit.
I mean, I'm looking at you on the screen right now, and you're wearing a Detroit hat. And I know. Not take Detroit just looks foolish from my perspective.
What do you mean? I'm going to do it 16 out of the 17 weeks or 17 out of the 18 weeks. Okay, Giants Panthers in New York. New York is favorites by 2.5.
Man, that's a tricky one because I want to count Giants. I want to count the Giants out, but after watching Barkley, McCaffrey didn't impress me as much.
No, I agree.
But no, I'm going to stick with Carolina. That's going to be an upset on the spread.
I'm going to go Giants, and I think they beat the spread 2.5, so I think they win by 3 or more. Okay, so Steelers, Patriots. Now, this is fucking weird. But Patriots are the favorites right now by 1.5, and it's in Pittsburgh.
Sure. I'm still going to take maybe because of the injuries.
Yeah, but Mac Jones might not play.
He's more likely to play than Najee Harris and Watt, who are.
Yeah, but Matt Patricia's calling the plays.
He is calling the plays. Well, he does share the play calling with another guy.
Is the other guy the fucking Hamburglar?
The Hamburglar.
What do you mean sharing the play calls? It's him and a bunch of cheeseburgers.
It was the other coach. It was the other coach that came back. I forget the guy's name. He also came back to the Patriots.
Joe Judge or something like that.
Yeah, Joe Judge or something.
Yeah, so 2 idiots, 2 losers calling plays. No, I'm going to Steel Town. Steel Town big. Yeah. I think they embarrassed the Patriots and Fat Patricia. Saints Buccaneers in New Orleans. Saints beat them twice last year. Tampa is favorites. I've already
told my entire Bucks predictions for the whole season. So what was my Saints one? This one was in New Orleans. This was the loss. This was the loss to New Orleans because it's in New Orleans, and then they split the home and away.
Okay, I think Tampa Bay wins. It's tough though. Saints defense is good, but and they had a huge comeback win on Sunday, win by a field goal
against the Falcons, though.
I know
coming back against the Falcons is different than playing the Bucs.
I know. I'm gonna go Bucks though. I'm gonna go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
I'm gonna go Bucks. Next game, Browns versus the Jets. It's in Cleveland. Ain't nobody watching this game. 6-point
I'm going
favorites,
Browns.
Cleveland.
One of the Browns. Jacoby Brissett, Super
I'm going
Bowl winner.
Browns too. I'm going Browns too. And also they might actually be in a good spot when Deshaun comes back.
Yeah. No, Jacoby Brissett, Super Bowl winner versus Joey Flacco, Super Bowl winner. This is a good matchup.
It's a matchup of the Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. The Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets. Flacco versus Brissett. Who would have thought? What a matchup. Put it on prime time. I'm going to go Cleveland as well. Okay, so Ravens, Dolphins in Baltimore. 3.5 favorites, Baltimore.
You know what? I Baltimore is a safe choice. I'm liking Baltimore, but I want to gamble. If I want to get, this is the one I would actually take Miami to see if Miami's for real this year. That's going to be a tough matchup. I think they're riding high right now. They had a good off season. Everybody looked like they're excited. They had a good week one. Going Miami.
I'm taking Baltimore, and Baltimore beats the spread. Okay, we got 2 minutes left. Next game is Jaguars, Colts. Colts are 4-point favorites. It's in Jacksonville. Who you got?
I don't care. This division has let me down. I refuse to pick anything out of this division.
I don't want to pick either.
We got 2 minutes. Move on.
We got Rams, Falcons. Rams in Los Angeles. 10.5.
I'll take the Rams. This is a redemption from week.
Yeah,
one
they blow
loss.
it out. I agree. They blow it out. 49ers versus Seahawks in San Francisco. San Francisco's 10-point favorites.
Yeah, I want to go Seahawks now after that abysmal performance. Depends. Is Garoppolo back? If Garoppolo's back, I'll take San Fran. If he's not, I'm going Seahawks. Gino.
I'm taking Gino as well. I think Seahawks lose, but I think they cover the spread. Broncos, Texans in Denver. Denver 10-point favorites. Broncos as well. I think they also cover the spread. I think it's a revenge game, or not a revenge game, but a makeup game.
I think Texans draw every game. They get a tie every game throughout the season. They go
Raiders
0-17.
Raiders Cardinals. That's a huge game. Cardinals have to show up again. It's in Las Vegas. Raiders are 5.5-point favorites.
I don't think they cover the spread. They go below the spread. Like they're going to win by 3 or something. But I think Raiders win.
I think Raiders win by a touchdown. 2 games left. We got Cowboys. This is on Sunday. You got Cowboys, Bengals. Bengals 8-point favorites. I think Bengals cover the spread. Yep.
Bengals got to come back.
Bears, Packers 9.5 favorites. Yep, Packers. I got that too. Titans, Bills. We've been over this. Bills beat the Titans. Not even close. Eagles, Vikings, Monday night. Eagles in Philly, 2.5-point favorites. I think Eagles as well.
Yeah.
All right, that does us for a last week review and preview coming up. I want to thank everybody for listening to Running Down the Clock. Week 2's coming up. Puya, anything last words?
No, I'm excited for week 2 though.
I'm excited for week 2. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you next week.
Running Down the Clock is brought to you by the Ordinary Podcast Network and is every Thursday running until the week after the Super Bowl. We hope you enjoyed enough to subscribe and tune in again next week.